What's going on, everyone? Sports back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about NFL free agents, New York Giants free agent targets on the offensive side of the ball, the top 15, in my opinion, that I think the New York Giants should go after this offseason. I'm just going to, it's going to be in no order, just 15 free agents on the offensive side of the ball I think the Giants can use and could potentially sign. Before I start the video, I just want everyone to know this is a hypothetical video. I'm not predicting anything here, as the Giants are really strapped for cash. They're currently $12 million under the salary cap, so they got to clear up some money. Joe Shane said he wants to clear about $40 million, save $40 million, which would bring the Giants to $28 million, and then I think 15 or something like that goes to the draft. So that would leave us with about 10 to $15 million left. Of course, they could save more than $40 million. Who knows what they're going to do? It's going to definitely be interesting, but I'm just going to be talking about a few potential free agents that the Giants can bring in on the offensive side of the ball. There's 15 of them in this video, and I think they're all possible guys for the Giants to sign. And I think they're going to probably bring in about 3, maybe 4 notable names. I'm not going to say big names, but notable names in free agency. Joe Shane said he's not going to spend big, but you're going to get a few guys in the $5-6 million range per season. We're probably going to see that. So it'll definitely be interesting to see. But I think they can bring in one of these guys is definitely a possibility. Maybe even 2 of them. I'm going to do another video with 15 more defensive players that I think we can bring in. So I would think 1 or 2 in each video. I think 1 or 2 of these guys in each video. One in the offensive video right now, and then one or 2 in the defensive video in about a week or so. I think it's realistic that 1 or 2 in each video are brought on by the Giants. But let's start off with Mitch Trubisky, the former Buffalo Bill. He played for the Chicago Bears. They drafted him early in the first round, of course, the quarterback. He's got ties to the Bills. He's got ties to Shane and Dable. So this is I actually think that Trubisky's going to be a Giant. With the ties he's got, he'll come in as a backup role at the quarterback spot. Probably cost you about $2-3 million. More than likely on a 1-year deal. Maybe a 1+1, and the Giants got a shot to get out. Who knows where this goes? But we need to get a good backup, and that can put pressure on Jones and really compete. So Trubisky at $3 million, and I actually think this is going to happen. Next up is the most unlikely, in my opinion, because of how expensive he is, and that's Orlando Brown, the tackle. He spent a lot of time with the Baltimore Ravens, and then last year was with the Kansas City Chiefs. This guy's a stud. I love this guy, Orlando Brown. The Chiefs traded a lot for him, in last offseason. So I don't really think he leaves there. I think they find a way to keep him. He would be in the $15 to $18 million range. He's that good of a tackle in this league. He's young. He would be a dream for the Giants. And then, if you get him, then you wouldn't have to draft a tackle. But, in a realistic world, we're not going to be getting him. But, just for the sake of the video, I definitely think he's an interesting name. And I really, really like him. He's probably one of my favorites. But, thinking realistically as a fan, we don't have much money. Had this been last offseason with the money we had, then, maybe the Giants do bring him in. But we just don't have a lot of money to work with. So Orlando Brown is, the most unlikely on this list. So he is the second notable guy. The next guy is David Njoku, the tight end. He is a Cleveland Brown. Obviously, the Giants need help at the tight end spot, and there's a lot of tight ends we can bring in free agency. But I really like David Njoku. Out of the 3 or 4 realistic guys, I think he's the most realistic, and he's my favorite. I really like David Njoku. He's going to, probably get about $5 to $6 million. Maybe he gets 7. I can't see, him getting 7. I think $5 to $6 million is a realistic range for David Njoku. But I think the Giants get, maybe a bit more of a veteran on a cheap deal. at the tight end spot, and I think they draft a guy like Ruckert, and then they get that veteran to kind of teach him a few things, and help him grow, and then he's the eventual he eventually is the franchise tight end. But David Njoku at $6 million, that range is a good target. Next, we got Austin Corbett, the guard. Of course, the reigning Super Bowl champion guard. He's very young, Austin Corbett. He's 26 years of age. He was drafted in the second round, the first pick of the second round in 2018. He's going to probably get about $8 million to $9 million. I really like Austin Corbett. I think he's a very, very good guard. Of course, the Rams have had a good offensive line for years, and really since he's got there. So, he would make a ton of sense, but of course he's going to cost you something. So I really like Austin Corbett. He's a really good guard. The center, Alex Kappa, he's another he's another guy who's going to get right around the same amount of money. Of course, Tampa Bay Buccaneer interior offensive lineman. I really like Alex Kappa. He's a guy who can come in and be a good guy on the offensive line. Really, all the guys that I'm mentioning in this video in terms of the offensive line could come in and be very, very good and be a starter. As well as Bradley Bosman of the Baltimore Ravens. He's another tough guy. He could play the center. He could play the guard. And all three of these guys I just mentioned, Corbett, Kappa, and Bosman, they're all going to get around $8 to $9 million each. That's their range. The more term you give them, they probably take a little less. But definitely three guys to keep in mind. They're gonna be expensive, of course, but I really like these guards. And then same thing with Laken Tomlinson. He's gonna cost you right around the same amount of money. Probably $7 to $9 million, of course, from the San Francisco 49ers. These are all teams that have had good O-lines. I mean, you look at the Ravens, the Buccaneers, the Rams, and the 49ers. They've all had top 5, 10 O-lines in the league, and these players are starters on those teams. So definitely interesting and good picks. And then Ryan Jensen, another one. He's the center for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's probably going to get a little bit more than these guys, probably $10 to $12 million. He's going to be a very expensive player, but he's really, really good. There's no question about that, Ryan Jensen. Him and Tom Brady, they had some great chemistry over the 2 years that they spent together. So him and Alex Kappa, of course, from the Buccaneers are good targets, as well as Corbett, Bosman, and Laken Tomlinson. Those are all guards / centers that the Giants could target. Next up, we got Zach Ertz, the longtime Philadelphia Eagle. He this season got traded to the Arizona Cardinals, of course, the tight end. He's another interesting name. He's very similar to David Njoku. I think if the Giants look to bring in a tight end that can really play and start for them this season and don't draft a guy fairly early, I think these are the two most notable names, and I think one of the two will probably get brought on. But I don't really know if that's the route the Giants go. I think they should, and I think they ultimately will go with a tight end in the third or fourth round. There's some decent tight ends in this draft class, and I think that's the route the Giants should take, and I ultimately think that's the route they will take. But Zach Ertz, he'd probably cost you about $6 to $8 million. He's a good tight end, pretty good veteran, and he's someone the Giants could definitely look at. Next up, we got a few wide receivers. They're all going to be around the same price. Byron Pringle will probably make a little more than the rest, but T.Y. Hilton, Emmanuel Sanders, and Byron Pringle, they'll all be in about the 5 to not 8 or 9 million range. I'm saying 8 or 9 because Pringle, I think Sanders and Hilton ultimately get 5 or 6. But start off with T.Y. Hilton, the Indianapolis Colt veteran. He's a guy I think the Giants could bring in. I think Sterling Shepard's definitely a guy we could cut. There's no question about it. And then you would need to replace him. Maybe they trade Darius Slayton. That saves up $2.5 million. Who knows? There's a lot of routes the Giants could take, but Kenny Golladay and Kadarius Toney will definitely be here. And then they would need someone to go along with them, whether that's Slayton +1 or who knows what the case may be. But I think Hilton's a good option. Emmanuel Sanders, another Buffalo Bill who's got ties to Joe Shane, as well as Brian Daboll, the head coach and GM of the Giants. Of course, Sanders is getting up there in age, but he's definitely still he could definitely still be a good wide receiver. For the Giants. Byron Pringle, the next one. Of course, Mike Kafka is the offensive coordinator. Maybe Pringle comes aboard. Of course, the former Kansas City Chief. They have a lot of weapons there. Pringle's definitely good. He's good in the special teams. He's a guy I could see the Giants look into. I really like Byron Pringle. The only thing is he would be a little bit expensive. And if you're spending $8 or $9 million on a specific player, a single player in this free agency, in my opinion, it's got to be at the guard spot. It's got to be to a guy like Bosman, Kappa, Corbett, Jensen, one of those guys. I just don't think you can spend $8 to $10 million on a wide receiver. If you can get Pringle at 6 or 7, you definitely have to think long and hard. Pringle's a guy who had over 500 yards receiving on a team that has Tyreek Hill, DeMarcus Robinson, Travis Kelce. They have a ton of weapons. So he's definitely a very good player. He got some touchdowns. He's good, like I said, in the special teams. So maybe the Giants look to bring him in, but those are 3 good wide receivers the Giants could look into. The next one's another guard, Trey Turner. Of course, the Giants were looking into him last offseason, but he actually signed a really cheap deal with the Steelers. He signed a 1-year, $3 million deal. If the Giants can get something like that again, that would be terrific. Or even if they can get a 3-year, $10 million deal with Trey Turner, he's a guard that can step in and be good. He could be decent. He's definitely an upgrade from anybody we've had, and I really do like Trey Turner. I wanted the Giants to bring him in. Last offseason, of course, we really we missed out on that opportunity. I think he's a guy we should have signed it. He only costed $3 million. But that being said, he's a potential target. This free agency, I think he would be in the $3 to $5 or $6 million range. And Trey Turner is definitely a good option at the guard spot. And I think the Giants should look into him. Closing out with the final 2 guys. First up, we got Mo Alley Cox, the veteran tight end of the Indianapolis Colts. He's going to be a cheap guy. He's the veteran I was talking about that you could potentially bring in and then draft a guy like a Ruckert. Mo Alley Cox would not cost you much, maybe $3, $4, $5 million. That type of contract, similar to an Kyle Rudolph contract. 2-year, $8 million, 2-year, $10 million, and then the Giants have the option to get out after 1 year. Something like that. I think Mo Alley Cox is a name to definitely keep an eye out for. And then finally, the last potential offensive free agent target for the Giants, Trent Brown, the tackle. He played for most recently the New England Patriots. They traded for him from the Raiders originally. Trent Brown's really, really good. I definitely think he's a guy the Giants should look to bring in. He would cost a little bit, though. He would probably be in the $10 to $12 million range. So, again, he's like Orlando Brown, a little bit unlikely. It's an expensive price tag, but if you can get them on a cheaper deal and, their price falls down, I think you should definitely look into Trent Brown. He's still young. He's a good tackle. And as you guys can see, a lot of these players were offensive linemen. Just a quick count, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 15 were offensive linemen. That goes to show you how much help the Giants need on that O-line. But that's all I got in the video, guys. You guys let me know down below in the comment section your thoughts on these 15 names that the Giants could potentially bring in as free agents in this 2022 offseason. Of course, like I said, Giants are under the cap right now. Joe Schoen going to save some money. They aren't going to be big spenders. There's no question about it. But look for 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of these names show up to the New York Giants, for 2022 and potentially beyond that. But that's all I got in this video, guys. You guys comment down below who you think, where you think these players will end up. Do you think the Giants could sign one? Do you want one? Let me know all that good stuff. And, of these 15 names, let me know if you think one of them will be a Giant, or whoever of these 15 names you think will be a Giant. Let me know down below in the comment section. But that's all I got in this video, guys. Please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. See you guys all in the next video. Let's go Giants.